Chris, we've been ahead of the curve on this. I'm not trying to pat ourselves on the back, but let me pat ourselves on the back.
Yes.
We've been making people aware that there's something up with the Seahawks and Russell Wilson. And Wilson now says he wants his contract by April 15. He's made it clear via his visit to Jimmy Fallon he wants to be the highest paid player in football. So if you're the Seahawks, what do you do about this?
Yeah, I mean, to me, this would be something, again, I don't expect anything to be done by April 15th. Do you? I mean, I don't think that's even realistic at this point. It doesn't sound like, I feel like we would have heard rumors that things were, farther down the road as far as contract talks and things like that. So I have no idea where they're at. But if I'm the Seattle Seahawks, I'm trying to get this done this offseason. I am. Russell Wilson, without question, the most famous, most notable player in the history of the Seattle Seahawks. Russell Wilson, without question, is one of the 5 best quarterbacks in football. And I just think if I'm the Seattle Seahawks, I don't let a talent like that out the door. And I would try to find a way right now, hey, fine. If you got to make him the highest paid quarterback in football right now, that's all fine and dandy. I think with the way the salary cap's going, right, Mike, and everything there, okay, you're the richest quarterback this year. 3 years from now, it will be, the 10th highest paid quarterback in football. And I think that will help out the Seattle Seahawks and the long-term prospects of their football team to kind of get out ahead of this.
I really think what's gone on is this, and I'm going to explore whether or not this theory has any merit once we finish up today. But I think that the Seahawks have been trying to get him to sign a long-term deal. He's been resisting it, and eventually he said, all right, here's what it's going to be. I want to be the highest paid player in football, and it's got to be done by April 15. Otherwise, no long-term deal. I think he wants to do the Kirk Cousins 1 year at a time because he knows at some point he forces his way to the open market. And if the Seahawks want to sign him on the open market, so be it. They can. But this is a way to bring some of that NBA attitude into the NFL. We've seen it with Kirk Cousins. We've seen it with Antonio Brown, and we may be seeing it with Russell Wilson. And I know it's out of character, but just the fact that there would be a story that he's given them this deadline, this artificial deadline of April 15 for a long-term contract, that's out of character.
Yeah.
So, hey, he's 30 now. He's got other issues he's considering. He's made a certain amount of money. He sees how much more he can make, and he knows there's a finite number of years that he can make it.
Right.
Now's the time to shake as much as you can out of the trees. And I think one way or the other, he's going to make $34 million over the next 4 years, and it's either going to be as part of a long-term contract, Chris, or it's going to be franchise tag 2020, franchise tag 2021, and if the Seahawks are willing to do it, $52.4 million for the franchise tag in 2022.
Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
I mean, is it that out of character? I was just going to say, too, because he is a guy that seems pretty straightforward, business-oriented, understands the full scope of the league. He always kind of threatens about this, I'm going to go play baseball for a week with the New York Yankees.
But he never says he's going to play baseball full-time.
You're right. He never says
This is the first time he has deviated in any way from the carefully manicured Go Hawks image, and that was the way that they would do it in the locker room behind his back when, the rough and tumble guys were there, and resented the fact that he was kind of management among them. And now that they've built the team around him, it's even more imperative that they keep him. That he's got a ton of leverage here. I mean, a ton.
A ton.
And they're either going to pay him Aaron Rodgers plus, or they're going to be paying him over the next 4 years the same amount, and then they may not have him after the next 3 or 4 years go by. Here's what I know, and this is the ultimate multitasking. This is text message exchanges with sources regarding Russell Wilson.
So you weren't listening to me, is what you were saying.
I wasn't listening to
Thank you.
But someone contacted me with some information, so I had to go back and forth and play the game a little bit. But here's what I can now report, and this isn't even on PFT yet, but it will be soon enough. Russell Wilson is not going to hold out. He will be there every day that the doors to the facility are open. They were told in late January that the deadline is April 15, so this isn't something new.
Right.
And it is a very simple proposition. Get a contract done, or he is going to go year to year under the franchise tag. Now, there are factors that need to be considered when we get into a long-term contract, and it isn't going to simply be pay me what I would make under the franchise tag over the next 4 years. The issue of quarterback contract escalation. And we've talked in the past that you can have a term in there that guarantees you a percentage of the salary cap as the cap goes up and up and up. No team has done that yet, but players have tried to get it. how the cap will increase, what will happen under a new CBA, how the money will go up with legalized gambling, how the money will go up with new national TV deals. These are all things that are projections at this point, but I think Russell Wilson is going to want to have that accounted for in some way in this contract. It requires a level of creativity that Aaron Rodgers wanted in Green Bay, and the Packers wouldn't give it to him, and he eventually shrugged his shoulders and signed a normal deal. The question is, will the Seahawks do an unconventional deal, or will they let Russell Wilson follow what is a largely unconventional approach of 1 year at a time under the franchise tag? And I think if Wilson is trying to take all these factors and turn them into something quantifiable, it's going to be less likely that the Seahawks are going to bite.
Yeah, no, again, Russell Wilson did the Seattle Seahawks a solid the last time he negotiated his contract. He signed a team-friendly deal. He did not hold their feet over the fire to be the highest-paid guy or top 2 or 3 in all of football, which he certainly had the right to do at the time. I would say this. If I'm the Seahawks, and I know I already said this, I would sign him to a long-term deal and get out in front of it right now, because the year-to-year thing is, I think, a franchise killer. It's a locker room killer at the quarterback position. Other positions, you can get away with it. But we just saw an experiment with the Washington Redskins with Kirk Cousins, who did the same thing, and there was a disconnect. There's a disconnect between the players and the quarterback in the locker room. The coaches and the quarterback have a disconnect there, and you question how all in or emotionally invested the quarterback is in the organization over the long haul in the future, when it's a year-to-year thing and the quarterback is going, I might not be here next year. I don't know where this is going to go. So to me, that's where it can really play an issue with a football team. And I don't see Pete Carroll or John Schneider, who I have a ton of respect for, wanting to do that to their locker room or have to answer those questions all offseason for 3 consecutive offseasons. So if I'm then, get this done, make him the highest paid quarterback in all of football, make it a long-term deal so the yearly cap hit is not a crushing number. And I think that would be the best way to approach it, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, and we'll see if they can work something out. But the deadline is clear. It's the start of the offseason program. And I think Russell Wilson, if nothing else, is a man of his word. And if he says that's the deadline, that's the deadline. And it's not going to be on April 16, oh, Russell, we changed our mind. We'll agree to it. Now, that will be intriguing. If they do all of a sudden cave the day after, will he stick to his guns, or will he say, okay, if you're going to give me what I wanted anyway, so be it? But I think that he really is standing on principle here. He's given them a fair opportunity to get to where he wants to be, and now we'll see whether or not they get there.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.